When you are in a space where you're ready to quit, you're tired, you're frustrated, you're ready to give up, you need to ask yourself, is this about me or is this about God? Yes, I had an expectation. Yes, I planned on God doing something. Yes, God said he was going to do something. Yes, I was expecting that God was going to do this, that, and the third. And I put all my hope and my joy in that. And it's taken so long. And now it's seeming like God's not going to do it. Not because factually he isn't going to do it, because I have the understanding that his word will never return void unto him. But it's because of my feelings. My feelings are talking for me. My feelings are thinking for me. And based off my feelings, it seems it has even dictated my vision. It looks like it's not going to happen because of my feelings infiltrating my vision. I can no longer see clearly. I can no longer think clearly. I can no longer think on those things that are good and those things that are righteous, because all I can focus on is the fact that it doesn't seem like it is going to happen. You have to stop for a moment and ask yourself, is this me or is this God? Is this about me or is this about God? Because if God is the one who said he was going to do it, and if God is the one who leads my life, then the way that I should be operating is never quitting, because I have the understanding that for God I live and for God I die. And if that is my truth, then I should be able to reflect that in my actions. I cannot sit around and allow myself to quit lest I be doing things for myself. As upset as you are and as frustrated as you are and as annoyed as you are, you have to be able to pull yourself together, speak some truth into your head, into your heart, into your emotions, into your life, and say to yourself, wait a minute now, let me be real, man of God. Let me be real, woman of God. Am I making this about me or is this about God? Because if it's about God, then the fact that it's taken so long shouldn't be bothering me so much. If this is about God, the fact that it's hard should not be frustrating me so much. If this is about God, then why am all I thinking about is my feelings and my emotions and how I'm annoyed and how I'm tired? If it is about God, then did I not sign up to be a sacrificial lamb, in the sense of laying my life, my flesh, my will, my desires down and picking up my cross and following Christ? What does that mean to follow him? I'm following him wherever he goes. So that means anything that comes with following behind you, I'm cool with. So why would I give up? Jesus didn't give up on me. Why would I give up? God never gave up on me. Even in my unrighteousness, God loved me first. And yet I still sin and fall short of the glory. And I spit in his face and disrespect him every time I do it. But he loves me so much that he sent his only son to die for me, that every single time I betray him and I disrespect him and I spit in his face, all he sees is his son standing in front of me, because his blood covers me. And I would have to be a fool to sit up and quit on what it is and give up on what it is and walk away from what it is that God has for my life and that I'm supposed to be chasing, because I don't want to wait on the manifestation for it, because it's taking longer than what I thought. So now let me get myself together and say, wait a minute now, is this about me or is this about God? Because if it's about me, then maybe that's the reason for why it hasn't happened yet, because there has not been a shift in your mind where you have walked into the understanding or even began to walk into the understanding that this is not about you. God ain't giving you the next blessing for you. You're going to be blessed by it as a byproduct. But this is something that God is dropping in your lap for you to be a steward, so that he can get glory, so that other people can come to him, so that he can put you in position so you can bring people to him, so that the expansion of the kingdom can take place. If all you can think about is how you feel, then that's probably why you have not walked into your season of manifestation and your season of opportunity and your abundance and your next level, because God cannot yet trust you with the next level. Because if all you can think about right now is yourself, then I know once I give it to you, all you gonna do is think about yourself. Then you gonna get too comfortable. But if you can think about me, if you can find peace in the process, because you know it is your Father who has chosen for you to suffer well, it is your Father who has chosen for you to go through the process, it is your Father, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, who has chosen for you to be the one to have to learn how to sustain in the midst of this process, in the midst of this pain, just to get to what it is that I told you I was going to give you, so you could be a blessing to me. If you could find peace in that because you understand that this is blessing me, your Father, then now I know when I open up the gates of heaven and I pour you out a blessing that you won't have room enough to receive, I know you can handle it. What it is, what it was, what it be like when it wasn't how it was supposed to be, but it came back and became that thing again. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? And welcome back to another episode on Fourth Quarter Pressure, where you are always the more and you have never been the lesser, as I always reiterate and regurgitate to you all every time you tune in and you lock in for these episodes. I'm your host, for those of you who are new, the El Capitan, CJ Stokely. And I'm excited, I'm elated, and I'm grateful, and I'm thankful that you stopped by for some wisdom, some insight, and some knowledge to be imparted into your life so that you can become all that God intends for you to become. So, on Fourth Quarter Pressure, for those of you who are new, it is not just a motto that we are always the more and never the lesser. It is also a reality that we put pressure on pressure in order to overcome pressure. What does that mean? That means that we build up the things on the inside of us that God requires for us to build up. We get the spiritual strength. We start to operate in our gifts. We get an understanding of who we're called to be. We get in the word. We retain the word. And then we apply what we understand from the word in our day-to-day lives. We build up this spirituality and this relationship, this intimacy that we have with God, so that when we face situations, we don't turn to our flesh to fight. We turn to our spirit so that we can walk on the heads of serpents, so that we can be overcomers, because the only way that we're going to be able to overcome is by being enough pressure in ourselves, being fourth quarter pressure. And so when we show up in a pressurizing moment or a pressurizing situation, we put pressure on pressure because of the God in us. And by us doing that, we overcome that pressure. Are you getting what I'm saying? So that is why we become fourth quarter pressure, because we put pressure on pressure in the moments of fourth quarter pressure in order to overcome pressure. We show up, we show out, and we be who God has called for us to be. Are you with me? And so I'm just simply here to help you do that. I'm here to help you have and find all of the answers that you need. And for whatever answers that I may not have, God is going to show up and he's going to give me revelation so that I can give those answers to you. Are you with me? So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm excited and I'm ready to roll. So before we get started, I hope that all has been going well for you. I hope that your weekend was good. We are here on a Monday, right? So Monday, we're starting the week off right. We're trying to get this thing moving and grooving. We're trying to ensure that we start the week off and we finish the week off strong, but the start is extremely important. How we going to start it off? We set the tone today. So we're going to start it off being locked in, being focused, being mission and purpose driven, or are we going to start it off and just kind of lollygagging? Oh, it's a Monday, I don't feel good, whatever. No, you got to take charge, right? And so how do we do that? We first start doing that internally so that our external can follow. So we get the motivation and the insight and the knowledge and the wisdom, and it charges us up so that now when we apply it in our external, in our day-to-day lives, we can be efficient and we can be effective. Are you with me? So I hope that your weekend was well. Hope that everything went good for you. I hope you didn't do no drinking, get on no drugs and do no tweaking, do no unrighteous speaking, or what else do I normally like to say? Let's see, tweaking, drinking, unrighteous speaking. There we go. Or no freaking. There we go. Yep. Hope you ain't do no freaking. You kept everything copacetic and you let the Lord use you. You get what I'm saying? So, all right, man, let's hit this thing rolling. One more thing before we get into this episode and we start getting to the meat and potatoes and the focal point of this episode. I would like for you all who are blessed and impacted by the Fourth Quarter Pressure Ministry movement and this podcast, whether it be through Instagram, TikTok, or you're following or you're subscribing on YouTube, I would ask that you would go and you would support and you would donate to this movement and to this ministry. Okay. To do that, go over to Cash App, $. This is for QP, all lowercase. This is for QP, all lowercase. When you type it in, it'll pop up. Fourth Quarter Pressure in caps. Donate, sow a seed into this ministry and into this movement so it can continue to grow. Because if not, then I can't do it. I'm not able, and I do not have the capacity to be able to keep this thing going and growing without your help, without your support, because ministry and making an impact there's a cost to it. It costs to be able to do it, right? And so I can't do it all on my own. So if you have been blessed by this ministry and by this movement, by this podcast, or by Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is that you follow me on, or if you're subscribing here on YouTube, I would ask that you would show reciprocation. The same ministry and movement that's sowing into you, sow back into the ministry, not into me personally, but into the ministry and into the movement so that it can continue to grow and more people can be blessed and impacted. So with that being said, also, if you have not heard about the number one, not the number two, not the number three, but it is the number one made just for you and me, Christian clothing brand in the world, Glory Gear. The website is officialglorygear.com. One more time, officialglorygear.com. That is the website. Go over, check it out. See if you see something on there that you like. Because the belief system has to be, I walk the walk, I talk the talk. But as a kingdom ambassador, I also have the understanding that sometimes I am the only Bible that people will ever come in contact with. I can be the preface to people getting into a relationship with God. They may come in contact with me because of what I have on my body, because what I put on is a symbol. What I put on is a reflection that I stand for something greater than myself, and I'm all about the kingdom. And it may pose questions. It may cause people to want to start conversations. And that will be a segue that leads into opportunities for people to get to know God. So your ministry is not just how you walk, how you talk, how you live. It's also how you put that thing on you. You feel me? So also for the ladies, there's something called Edgy Chick that is on that website. It's where you find this wine, you're tough as nails, and you're ensuring you don't go to hell. It's for the ladies that is all about Christ and you're real nice, but you also got a little spice. So it's a little mix and matching thing going on in that thing. You get what I'm saying? So go over, check it out. Officialglorygear.com is the website. And once you get done, come back and talk to me. And when you come back and talk to me and you can clock the T. You dig what I'm saying? All right, let's roll. So on this episode, it is titled Don't Give Up. Very simplistic. And I'm not going to take too much of your time, but I wanted to talk to you all about not giving up. When I started this year off, I started it with a episode titled 2025, the year of manifestation. And I have personally in my own life, I've had to really hold on to that word because I know that that word was prophetic. I know that it was released in the spirit, from God to set an expectation as for what was to come in this year. And so those of you who followed the ministry, or those of you who heard me say that, or those of you who have gotten confirmation on your own about 2025 being the year of manifestation, or just that something was supposed to materialize or manifest in your life sometime soon within this year, but yet it has not seemed as though it was going to happen. You have not seen things unfolding the way that you had thought in your mind it was going to unfold. And so if you have experienced that, then you understand the place that I have been in, and I understand the place that you have been in, and anybody else who has experienced that, I'm with you. I know what that feels like. If you're following what I'm saying, I'm familiar and I'm experienced with those feelings and knowing what weight you feel when you're in those places and spaces in your life. And so I want to motivate you, and in turn even motivate myself, because we constantly go through seasons and phases in our life where we experience this expectation that we place in and on God, and yet what we are expecting has not unfolded yet. And so we have to keep making a conscious decision to not give up. We got to keep making a conscious decision to keep on going and to keep on pushing and to keep on digging and to keep on fighting, even when it doesn't feel good, even though it may not feel as though us putting in the effort is doing anything when putting in the work and getting up day in and day out does not come with visible results or quick results that change the dynamic of what it is that we're dealing with. Of course, all of us would love to give our best effort and put our best foot forward and then see something automatically begin to change in our favor. But what happens is God has a tendency to remind us that we are not in control, because when we are leaning not to our own understanding and we're putting our faith in God and we're believing in God for something and we're having faith based off of a prophetic word that was released or off of something that God had confirmed with us or something that God had told us or an expectation that it was okay for us to have because we know what God said, God will remind us in that process that it is only by his timing and he is the one that is in control. And so as we go through that phase and as we walk that thing out, one of the biggest things that we have to remember not to do, or we have to remember to not do, is to give up. We cannot allow for ourselves to give up. We cannot allow for ourselves to quit, no matter how hard it is, no matter what it feels like, no matter what we're going through, no matter how upset we are, no matter how frustrated we are, no matter how annoying it is, no matter what we see in front of us. We have to make a decision in our mind, especially as believers, right? It'd be one thing if you are somebody that isn't, really a believer. You don't really believe in God, but, you kind of in a place where you don't have any answers. You don't know how things are going to go. You can't figure any way out. And somebody came along and told you, oh, man, I feel like God's going to do X, Y, and Z in your life. And so you kind of put your hope in that a little bit. That would be a different scenario. But for us believers, we are driven and motivated off of, I know God's going to do something. I know what God's word says. I know what I heard from God. I know the word that was released. I know the prophetic word that was spoke over my life. I know that God said all things are going to work together for I know my God. And because I know my God, I have this belief. I have this expectation. I have this confidence and this trust in him. Right? But as we hold on to that as believers, we have to make sure that we don't get beside ourselves and get out of our body and find ourselves in a position where we have given up or where we have quit. Because in the start of everything, it's always easy to take that posture. But as time continues to go on and go on and go on and go on and go on, and you expected manifestation to take place and it did not happen or has not happened yet, it will put you in a place where you are ready to give up. You are ready to quit. And it is a cliche statement that we hear all the time about how most people give up right as they are around the corner from what they've been waiting for so long. It is a statement that we hear all the time, but the reality of it is that regardless of whether we are right around the corner or not, as a believer, you cannot give up. You cannot give up on what you have been waiting on God for and what you have been expecting from God, lest you be giving up on God. Because what you are waiting on from God is something that you have given an level of emotional attachment to, but it is still a God divine thing. So because it is a God divine thing, that means it came from God. And if it came from God, then that means God's desire is for you to make it to what he said you were going to make it to, for you to experience what he said you were going to experience. And so if you give up on that because you in your flesh and in your feelings are tired of the waiting process, you're tired of how long it's taking, you're tired of not seeing it manifest, then you are now giving up on a godly thing, which then in turn would suggest that you are turning your back on God. Because this is something that God has released and something that God has said. So if then you are turning your back on God to some degree, then that would mean that you are now beginning to operate in disobedience. Because even if I sit still when God is telling me to move, I'm still disobeying what he said. So if God is telling me to keep the heart posture of waiting and keep being patient and keep pushing and keep moving forward, and he's going to do it and he's going to make it happen and it's going to manifest, and I internally shut down and I give up, I internally say, I'm done. I can't take it no more. I'm sick of trying to make this happen. I'm sick of having this expectation. I'm sick of waiting on this. I'm sick of expecting this to happen and nothing is happening. Nothing is changing. I'm sick of it. So I'm giving up. I'm going to still go to church. I'm going to still pray. I'm going to still read my word, but I'm tired of it. I'm giving up. To be in that place means that you are choosing to manipulate and deceive and convince yourself that you are still operating in a place of righteousness because you are not going in the direction of evil. You are not pursuing evil, but you are just standing still. But just because you are standing still and you have shut down internally to where you're not moving at all, but yet God is calling you to go in a certain direction to get closer to what it is that he told you he was going to manifest in your life, you still are operating in disobedience. So you cannot allow for yourself to be manipulated or tricked or deceived by yourself and by your flesh and by your feelings just because you don't want to keep experiencing the frustration or the pain or the annoyance or the annoyances that come with having to not quit along the path of getting to what it is that God promised you. Are you with me? So I want to motivate you and I want to inspire you and I want to challenge you to not give up. And by the end of this episode, I want you to walk away and be confident in yourself and say, okay, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. You with me? All right, let's hit it. I got 6 points and I'm going to run them down real fast. And then I'm going to get you on out of here. Point number 1. I want you to remember that there is still time for God to make it happen. A lot of times when we have an understanding that God said he was going to do something or something has been prophesied over our life, or we have an expectation and that hope that we have, that expectation in God that we have, or that expectation we put on God, whenever the hope that we have in that has become deferred, whenever the waiting pattern and the waiting process has become so extensive that it feels as though it's never going to happen. Not it means it's never going to happen, but it feels that way. It causes us to get to a place where we convince ourselves of a truth that is predicated off of emotion, a truth that is predicated off of something that cannot be quantified. Your feelings are not quantifiable. You cannot say that based off of your feelings, you can then dictate something that God said he's going to do. So since that is not the truth, we then are operating in error. We are not operating the way that we should be operating because we are allowing our feelings to overshadow the facts. If God said he's going to do it, just because it has not happened yet, we have to keep in the forefront of our mind to help us process through the pain and the frustration of the process and of having to wait. We have to convince ourselves and tell ourselves that the truth is that God still has time. One of the main things that I have had to focus on in my own life that I said in my first podcast episode of this year, when I said 2025 was the year of manifestation, I said that even if it took 365 days, on the 365th day, you were still in your season. Even if it wasn't until the last day of December, you were still in your season of manifestation. And so a lot of times, because we know God is going to do something and we know that he said it was going to happen within a certain time frame, we then think that it's going to happen sooner within that season than later. But the reality of it is that what we have to remember is that first off, God said it, so it's going to happen. Secondly, as long as it is within this season, and if 2025 was the year of manifestation, then that means what God said he's going to do, he's still going to do before the end of the year, before the last day of December, before the season is up, he's going to do what he said he was going to do. And so you have to remind yourself, God still has time. God ain't forgot about you. God ain't gave up on you. God ain't switched up on you. God ain't changed up on you at all. Don't let how much time has gone by make you ignore how much time is left. Just because it didn't happen in the first quarter or the second quarter or the third quarter, you are still only in the beginning of the fourth quarter. You still got time left. Don't ignore the time left and end up changing your heart posture and missing what you were supposed to get on the very, 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 very last quarter of the game, the last quarter of the year, the last day of the month before the year changed. Even if it ain't till then, don't miss what you were supposed to get before this year ended because you're too busy being angry about how much time has passed. You got me. So you have to keep yourself motivated and you have to say, I'm going to keep pushing and I'm going to keep digging and I'm going to keep fighting because I still got time. And if I still got time in this season, then I got to know God still has time because God does not operate within the confines of time. So if God still has given me time within this year and the season is not up, then that means I still need to have the same expectation I had coming into this year. And I cannot allow for the fact that so much time has passed to get me to a place where I'm angry and I move myself out of position to receive what God is saying you right around the corner from getting. Are you with me? Point number 2, don't focus all your attention on the one thing you want to manifest because you will miss what all God has manifested in, for, and through you. So don't spend so much time focusing on the one thing that you have this great expectation for in your season of manifestation because you will miss all of what else God has manifested in your life, for your life, and through your life. Because your manifestation of what God told you he was going to give you, your manifestation of what God said you were going to walk in and you were going to obtain, and that it was going to be within your possession and he was going to allow you to be a steward over it. It is not just for you. And so if it's not for you, then you have to be able to pay attention to the other things that have been manifested in your life, for your life, and through your life that can impact other people leading up to the one big blessing that you've been waiting on. The misconception that we have a lot of times is that when we operate in a season of manifestation, or we are walking in a season of manifestation, or we are residing in a season of manifestation, we put all of our expectation on one thing as if God is not always doing things to completion. Why would God just only give you one thing when God is the type of God that's going to use you for multiple different things in multiple different areas? And so just from one of the things that he gives you, he intends for multiple people, including yourself, to be impacted by it. So there are other things that God is paying attention to. There are other things that God is doing in your life to prepare you for it. There are other things where God is moving people out of positions and into positions to make sure that everything is the way that it's supposed to be. And if you can just put in the forefront of your mind that you're not going to give up, you're not going to quit, you're not going to surrender, you're not going to shut down, you're not going to walk away, you're going to keep on pushing, not just hanging on, but you're going to keep on pushing, you're going to keep on marching, you're going to keep on stepping because you know what God said, then it will put you in the position where you will not only be focused on the one thing that you are expecting, but you will be focused on noticing, identifying, and recognizing all of the different areas in your life that God has manifested something. If you take a moment and you look at your life throughout the course of this year, I'm sure as you have waited on God for something, As you have waited on his manifestation, you can find where God has manifested long suffering, where God has manifested endurance, where God has manifested maturity, where God has manifested peace, where God has manifested a deeper level of discipline for him and his word and walking with him in a relationship with him, where God has manifested you learning how to operate in certain relationships, where God has manifested different things that are important for you to have and to obtain as he takes you from level to level. But if you never pay enough attention to all of what God is doing in your life, then you will be too mad to even realize. You will only be paying attention to, I have not gotten this one blessing yet. And because I ain't got this one blessing, I feel like God ain't doing nothing for me. But God is always doing something. You have to have the maturity and the spirituality to be able to see it, to identify it, and to notice it. You got me? So don't focus all your attention on one thing. Focus on everything that God is doing. God's still going to do that one thing. It ain't going nowhere. You don't control it anyway. It's in God's hands. So don't stress yourself about it. Focus on everything that God is doing. Are you getting me? Point number 3, consider all the reasons why your expectations haven't been met yet. Consider as you wait on God, as you are in the process of waiting and you're waiting for God to do something great for you and you're waiting for God to meet your expectation and you're waiting for God to do what he said he was going to do. You're still focused on that one thing, even if you have been paying attention to all the other things that God has manifested, and it's all fine and dandy and it's all good and you appreciate it and you see what God has been doing. You still are holding on, waiting for that one thing that you have an expectation for, that one big blessing, that one great opportunity, that one thing that God said he was going to do. You're still waiting on it. I want you to consider in your mind all of the reasons for why it may not have happened yet. And don't turn it into, woe, it's me. Because sometimes it's not that you're doing anything wrong at all. Sometimes it's that you are doing exactly what you are supposed to be doing. You are exactly where you are called to be. You are in the right position. You're in alignment. But there are other individuals that have to come into place in order for this thing to take off. And sometimes your manifestation has not happened yet. Your door has not opened yet because of other people's disobedience, because the right person ain't in the right position, because God's got to remove some people, because God's got to usher some people in. There are a multitude of things that God is doing outside of you, even when all you can see is how you feel, even when all you can see is how things have not gone the way you wanted them to go, even when all you can see is that what you have been expecting has not manifested yet. You have to have the understanding. You have to have the mental compartmentalization and the mental capacity to shift things around in your mind and tell yourself, I know that this is about more than me. And if it's about more than me, then it's going to need more than just me for it to all happen. It's only going to need God because he is the Alpha and the finisher. He is the Alpha and the Omega. But God has to use other human beings to bring this all together. He's going to put people in certain places to help this thing take off. I just have to not give up, and I will see it. I will experience it. I will touch it. I will walk in it. I will be able to steward it. But I gotta get it out of my mind that, oh, this doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. No, I must consider why it hasn't happened yet. And I must consider it outside of, oh, woe, it's me, or God's mad at me, or, oh, no. No. If you are operating in disobedience, then you already know. You don't got to consider whether or not that's the reason. You operating in disobedience, you out of position, you out of alignment, then you already know 9 times out of 10, that's probably the reason why it ain't took off yet, because you ain't even in the right position to receive what God want to give you. So we already know that. We're talking deeper and bigger than that. What about when you're in position and it still ain't happening and you feel like a victim? You feel like, whoa, it's me. What do? You shift the narrative. You shift your perspective. You shift how you think about it, and you tell yourself, wait a minute, let me consider all of the different angles, because I know God's thoughts are higher than mine. I know God is paying attention to a bunch of things outside of just how I'm feeling. So let me try to think about this to the best of my ability, how God might be thinking about this. Or let me try to view this to the best of my ability, how God might be viewing this. Oh, God is probably thinking about there are so many other things and so many other individuals that have to be at the right place at the right time. And sometimes my manifestation may not have happened because the right person has not been ushered in yet, or the right person was there, but then they became disobedient, or the person who was supposed to bless me didn't do what God told them to do, or the person who was supposed to open the door, give me the opportunity, didn't do what God told them to do, or the person who was called to be the one to do this for me didn't have the level of spiritual maturity yet that they needed for them to be able to do what it is that God called for them to do. So now God has to get them out the way and use somebody else. All of these things are a reality. And you got to start being in tune to know, okay, I got it now. I can see it from all different perspectives. I got it. Let me keep on going. I'm not going to let myself quit. I'm not going to let myself give up, because I have the understanding it's bigger than just me. It's bigger than just how I feel. There's other pieces that go into this. Are you with me? Point number 4, consider what you can do right now to have peace with what's outside of your control. One of the biggest issues that we come in contact with as believers as we're waiting on God is that we're so busy being angry at how long it's taking. We're so focused on how long the process is. We're so focused on why it has not happened yet, or trying to find a reason for why it has not happened yet, or why manifestation has not taken place, or why we haven't been elevated, or why the door hadn't opened, or why God is allowing for us to go through this process. Not understanding how all of these other things that we are not a part of, that are outside of our control, play a role in us getting to what it is that God promised us, or what God said to us. One thing that we do not think about or focus on is finding peace within that space. We don't take enough time as believers and as Christians and as followers of Christ to say, despite my expectation not being met yet, I want to be intentional about finding peace. I want to be intentional about finding peace in the midst of not having what I expected. Even though, yes, I understand that there's still time left. There is always time for God to do what he wants to do. Yes, even though I understand that there are other pieces on the board that God has to move around sometimes in order for things to take off. Yes, I understand that sometimes it ain't about me being disobedient, or if I'm in the wrong, or God being upset about me. It ain't about all that all the time. Yes, I understand all of that, but yet and still, I don't take the time to be intentional about saying to myself, man of God, woman of God, you need to learn how to be at peace while you wait. Stop focusing so much on how long it's taking, because if you focus on how long it takes, then it'll be easier for you to give up. But if you be intentional about creating a place of peace in your current space, a place of peace in the midst of the process, if you become intentional about that, then giving up for you won't be an option, because you will be at peace while you wait. You'll be at peace doing whatever assignment it is that God has called you to do. Even if that assignment is being still, you will be at peace in that. Because we already know that when God says be still, we are active while we wait. We are still serving the kingdom of God while we wait. God will never tell us not to serve. So while I'm waiting and I'm being still, I'm still serving though. Are you following what I'm saying? So I'm always at peace. So we have to be intentional as believers to say, you know what? How do I get to a place of peace while I'm dealing with what's outside of my control? Because at the end of the day, I'm not God. God is the one who said he's going to do this. I'm the one who put my expectation and my belief in someone greater than myself. So if I put this belief and this expectation on you, I clearly have the understanding that I can't make this happen on my own anyway. So I have to be abiding by however you want to do this, however you want to handle this, Lord, however long you want to make this take. I got to be abiding by that. Because what does it mean for me to put my belief and my faith in you and my expectation in you, but then get mad at you when you're not doing it the way I would do it if I controlled it? What sense does that make? So if I'm going to say I'm putting my expectation in you, then what I'm saying is I am putting my submission to you also. I'm giving my submission to you also. I'm giving my obedience to you also. I'm giving my patience, my understanding, and my recognition for however you want to do what it is that you're going to do in my life, because I understand I can't do it anyway. So I'm subjecting myself to not just expecting it from you, but however you want to do it too. That's the part where we miss. So we end up in this contradiction where I've put my expectation in God without the understanding that by putting my expectation in God, it means I'm subjected to however he wants to do it too. Because the only reason I put my expectation in God is because I understand who he is. And if I tried to put my expectation in me to be able to do this, it wouldn't be able to happen. And the only reason that it actually is an expectation is because I heard God confirm that it was what was going to take place. Are you following what I'm saying? So find some peace in the midst of the process and consider what you can do right now to help you have peace in the midst of that process so that you don't give up. Point number 5. What happens if you give up? Like, what actually happens if you give up and if you quit? As tired as you are, as frustrated as you are, as annoyed as you are, what happens if you quit? You're not going to do anything but become spiteful, vindictive, maybe have a heart posture that is not rooted in righteousness, where you have regret, anger towards God, all because you decided to quit instead of continuing to push, continuing to fight. And by continuing to do that, you would have gotten to what it is that God said you were going to get to in his time. But since you quit, you're never going to be able to experience it or obtain it. And you will have to live the rest of your life with the thought process of, what would have happened if I didn't quit? What would have happened if I would have kept pushing? What if I wasn't that far off? What if it wasn't going to be that much longer? And then you will have to come up with excuses for yourself and for why you did it to play as a justification for you walking away and to appease your current feelings in the moment so that you don't feel too bad about yourself. And now you will be operating in this web of lies and manipulation also that you can appease your feelings for doing something that you had no business doing in the first place. When all you would have had to do is continue to push. Because on the opposite side of quitting is the guarantee that you definitely ain't going to get it. And then you have to ask yourself the question, if I'm going to quit, then I should have never started. Because now I got to be angry at the fact that I just went through all of this, what felt to be let down, because this expectation that I had was never met. So I dealt with all of this let down just to put myself in a position where I'm going to be guaranteed to be let down because I got out of alignment with God. What is the point of that? So when you're in this place where you're operating in emotionalism and your feelings are all over the place and you angry, you frustrated and you're tired and you all of the things I 100% understand. It is understandable. 100% it is understandable because we're only human. We can only handle so much. We can only do so much. But that's why greater is he that's on the inside of you than he that's in the world, because what's on the inside of you can handle much more than what your external thinks. But I totally understand it. But regardless of you dealing with all of those things and you experiencing all of those things, you quitting ain't gonna do nothing for you. There's no point. There's no point in you quitting. You might as well just keep on pushing keep on stepping and trusting in God. Because if you give up, you're going to regret it. And you would have wasted all of this time just to either temporarily or permanently miss your blessing. Because a lot of people say what God has for you is for you and you can't miss it. Well, if we look at the children of Israel, we know that what God had for them, because of how they acted, because of them being out of alignment, because of them not being in position, caused for the whole first generation to miss the opportunity to get into the promised land. And so those individuals, what God had for them, they didn't get. Their children got it. The next generation got it. So it is possible for God to have something for you, a blessing for you, an opportunity for you. And you walk around if you want to and say to yourself, oh, well, God for me ain't going to miss me. And I can just act however. I could be wherever. I could do whatever. I can get out of alignment and I'm still going to get the opportunity. I'm still going to get the blessing. I'm still going to walk through the open door. No. A requirement to get what God has for you is to be in the right position. Because if God drops it and you ain't in the right spot, then you ain't going to be able to catch it. And if you don't catch it, you're going to turn around and you're going to be upset at God and say he never did it for you. When in all reality, that ain't the case. The case is that you had something that God had planned for you and for your life. And because of your own choices, you missed your opportunity and you missed your blessing. And God is good enough that sometimes, if we are fortunate, if it aligns with how God wants to do things, that can be a temporary thing. Sometimes it's not always permanent. If you can get yourself back on track quick enough and God still wants to do it for you, then you will still walk into it. But it is possible for God to have something for you and you miss it because of your own disobedience. Do not be tricked or fooled. You got me. So do not give up. Because if you stop and you just think for a second, what really happens if I give up? I'm sure you're going to come to a conclusion and an answer that you don't like. Point number 6, last point. Be honest. Is this about you or about God? When you are in a space where you're ready to quit, you're tired, you're frustrated, you're ready to give up, you need to ask yourself, is this about me or is this about God? Yes, I had an expectation. Yes, I planned on God doing something. Yes, God said he was going to do something. Yes, I was expecting that God was going to do this, that, and the third. And I put all my hope and my joy in that. And it's taken so long. And now it's seeming like God's not going to do it. Not because factually he isn't going to do it, because I have the understanding that his word will never return void unto him. But it's because of my feelings. My feelings are talking for me. My feelings are thinking for me. And based off my feelings, it seems it has even dictated my vision. It seems, it looks like it's not going to happen because of my feelings infiltrating my vision. I can no longer see clearly. I can no longer think clearly. I can no longer think on those things that are good and those things that are righteous, because all I can focus on is the fact that it doesn't seem like it is going to happen. You have to stop for a moment and ask yourself, is this me or is this God? Is this about me or is this about God? Because if God is the one who said he was going to do it, and if God is the one who leads my life, then the way that I should be operating is never quitting, because I have the understanding that for God I live and for God I die. And if that is my truth, then I should be able to reflect that in my actions. I cannot sit around and allow myself to quit lest I be doing things for myself. As upset as you are and as frustrated as you are and as annoyed as you are, you have to be able to pull yourself together, speak some truth into your head, into your heart, into your emotions, into your life, and say to yourself, wait a minute now, let me be real, man of God. God. Let me be real, woman of God. Am I making this about me, or is this about God? Because if it's about God, then the fact that it's taken so long shouldn't be bothering me so much. If this is about God, the fact that it's hard should not be frustrating me so much. If this is about God, then why am all I thinking about is my feelings and my emotions and how I'm annoyed and how I'm tired? If it is about God, then did I not sign up to be a sacrificial lamb in the sense of laying my life, my flesh, my will, my desires down and picking up my cross and following Christ? What does that mean to follow him? I'm following him wherever he goes. So that means anything that comes with following behind you, I'm cool with. So why would I give up? Jesus didn't give up on me. Why would I give up? God never gave up on me. Even in my unrighteousness, God loved me first. And yet I still sin and fall short of the glory. And I spit in his face and disrespect him every time I do it. But he loves me so much that he sent his only son to die for me, that every single time I betray him and I disrespect him and I spit in his face, all he sees is his son standing in front of me because his blood covers me. And I would have to be a fool to sit up and quit on what it is and give up on what it is and walk away from what it is that God has for my life and that I'm supposed to be chasing, because I don't want to wait on the manifestation for it because it's taking longer than what I thought. So now let me get myself together and say, wait a minute now, is this about me or is this about God? Because if it's about me, then maybe that's the reason for why it hasn't happened yet, because there has not been a shift in your mind where you have walked into the understanding or even began to walk into the understanding that this is not about you. God ain't giving you the next blessing for you. You're going to be blessed by it as a byproduct. But this is something that God is dropping in your lap for you to be a steward so that he can get glory, so that other people can come to him, so that he can put you in position so you can bring people to him, so that the expansion of the kingdom can take place. If all you can think about is how you feel, then that's probably why you have not walked into your season of manifestation and your season of opportunity and your abundance and your next level, because God cannot yet trust you with the next level. Because if all you can think about right now is yourself, then I know once I give it to you, all you gonna do is think about yourself. Then you gonna get too comfortable. But if you can think about me, if you can find peace in the process, because you know it is your Father who has chosen for you to suffer well. It is your Father who has chosen for you to go through the process. It is your Father, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, who has chosen for you to be the one to have to learn how to sustain in the midst of this process, in the midst of this pain, just to get to what it is that I told you I was going to give you so you could be a blessing to me. If you could find peace in that because you understand that this is blessing me, your Father, then now I know when I open up the gates of heaven and I pour you out a blessing that you won't have room enough to receive, I know you can handle it. Are you following what I'm saying? So, be honest with yourself. And even if you get an answer opposite of what you would prefer, even if you get an answer opposite of what you would want the answer to be, at least you can make changes. So if you be real with yourself, you ask yourself the question and the answer comes back not what you know it should be, cool. You got an opportunity to make changes. You can do something different now. You following me? So keep on going, man. We still got time. God still got time. If God said it, it's still going to happen. I get it. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me. I get it. But his ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. Eyes haven't seen. Ears haven't heard. Neither has it entered to the heart of man the things that God has in store, the things that God is going to do. And so that's what we have to hold on to as we continue to move and keep pushing and keep digging. We're still in 2025, the year of manifestation. Pay attention to all the other things that have been manifested this year in your life, the things that you have learned, the areas you have grown. Pay attention. Look at them. Notice them. Be grateful for them. Show appreciation. As you continue to wait on that 1 or 2 or 3 big blessings, and don't allow for yourself to convince yourself that God did not manifest in the year of manifestation when you can factually look at things and say, it may not manifested all of what I wanted, but he manifested things that I needed. But if he said it, and he said it was going to manifest in this year, still got time. We in the fourth quarter. Game ain't over yet. Keep your head up. Keep on pushing. Don't give up. I love you. God bless you. And as we always in this, you are always the more. And you have never been and you will never be, ever, ever, ever the lesser. And we, you big dog, you Miss Lady, you king, you queen, and me, your boy, the biggest CJ Stokely. We are fourth quarter pressure. God bless you. I'll see you on Thursday. 4QP family! This is a call to action. I need for you all who are blessed, who are impacted, who get motivation, inspiration, knowledge, and wisdom from this movement. I need for you to step up to the plate and show support. I need for you to donate so that I can keep doing what it is that you enjoy me doing, what it is that God called me to do for you. But this has to be a community. I cannot do this all alone. I need for you all to chip in, to pitch in, to put some skin in the game so that this movement can sustain, maintain, and keep progressing so that this movement and this ministry can expand. There are so many more souls, so many more lives that need to be impacted, that need to hear what God is saying. And in order to do that, there has to be financial support so that it can push the ministry forward. So please, if you have not already, all of those watching, all of those viewing, all of those supporting, all of those being ministered to, please go over to Cash App at $. This is 4QP. Again, on Cash App at $. This is 4QP, so we can keep doing what we do, because you already know we are always the more and never the lesser. And we, you and me, we are fourth quarter pressure. Appreciate the support.